Today's guest is a musician, somatic practitioner, and DJ who's renowned in the ecstatic dance scene, no other than Pixi Pete. Yay! Welcome to Voices of Elevate. You are, like I said, a renowned DJ in the ecstatic dance world, and you've been kind of one of the pioneers of it, really. You've been around a while, haven't you? And
I've been around a while.
You've been around a while, an old dog, and you've been learning new tricks. And really going into, although ecstatic dance is a somatic practice, no matter how you do it, because movement and breathing and dance is somatic, but you've been delving much, much deeper into that theory, haven't you, of like energy movement and release. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to. Just also want to say thank you so much for having me on here. It's really great to see you and to see you in your new sparkly sequin top, which is.
I know. I wonder where I got this from. This is why I wore it today, because this was previously yours, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah.
So
And
I thought it had to be one.
it looks much better on you than it ever did on me. So
Oh well, thank you.
yeah. Yeah. So well, the somatic work. It's actually what it is what I've been learning about is, rather than the energy of it, it's about the nervous system. So I've spent the last, I've been with the school of the embodied resilience for the last year, although I still haven't actually finished my training. I'm yet to qualify, but I've been doing the work with the school for over a year, just over a year, and in that time I've been holding sessions and receiving work, receiving the work we've been doing, and just going on a really deep dive into like what is the nervous system and how to work with it so that people can regulate themselves. So I can do one-on-one sessions, but also to understand more about like what happens to the nervous system, how we go into fight or flight, what happens to the body when we freeze, and like how as a facilitator can I support people to actually regulate their nervous systems and to have more capacity to enjoy life, because essentially I believe that, I'm sure there's many that would agree to this, that the more we hold on in our system, the more like our nervous system is holding on without our awareness, the less we can really release ourselves into life, into the full, because of unconscious fears, because of pain, because of like mental struggles, and these are all like related to like what's happening in the nervous system. And one of the most important things I think I've learned about the nervous system, at the top thing, is to know that the nervous system is our body's most intelligent system of protection. That's our body's first point of call to when it comes to like protecting us to the outside world and to allowing us to interact with the outside world. I use the word protection, but actually it's more just about interaction with the outside world.
Well, I think most people are familiar with fight or flight, and that is very much a nervous system reaction, isn't it? You know, that if we were about to be attacked by an animal, our nervous system kind of knows to go into this protection mode and kind of send signals to the rest of our body to enable us to survive.
We also have freeze and some also say fawning. These are also like freezing is very much, you think of like rabbit in the headlights. No, that's like a really primal activation that can happen when we go into a frightened or shocked state. And then we also have what's called like fawning, and that's kind of a bit more of a psychological aspect to it, but where we placate to a situation in order to to continue our survival. So we might actually just give in. You become like weak rather than fighting. It's like fawning is almost like the freeze sense, because fight and flight are both what's known as active reactions. There's actually another term, I've forgotten what the term is right now, but it's like that's an active term, and then freeze is like a deactivating term. So when we go to freeze, our body actually shuts down. Same with fawning. We actually our body goes into a sense of shutdown. So we'll actually, like, our breath will become very shallow. It'll become like, well, our body actually, like, our digestive system stops working. Like
I see it a lot with clients that have like fibromyalgia and things like that. It's almost like the traumas in their life have created this kind of shutdown, and they often have digestive issues and low mood and chronic fatigue and all of those things. And they're kind of the symptoms that, in fact, the term fibromyalgia is really related to nervous system problems, and so and so it manifests as such chronic illness, doesn't it, when this nervous system is out of balance.
It's incredible that the clients that I've had already, what the work that I've seen, how I've seen it work, pains, illnesses, like things that have been going on for a long time for people just disappear. They're just like, wow, that pain I just had in my neck or the lower back or that stomach issue that I've been suffering with for the last 3 years, like suddenly that's stopped. And that's not to say those things won't come back, because they're also, it's like we hold like a pattern in our system that we can fall back into situations because of neural pathways, because of how our system is made up, that we can fall back into routines that then bring those things back. But to know that they can be healed through this work, to continue down the process of being aware of what's happening in the body, and to then like make different choices. This is the primary work. And yeah, it's just like, that's what I found. And I've done lots of therapy. What got me into the somatic world was that I needed help. I was in a really dark place in my life, and I was fortunate enough to be put in touch with a therapist who didn't call herself a therapist. Her name is Kate Marion. I'm sure she won't mind me saying. She's absolutely incredible. And she happened to be available, and she wanted to help me. And I saw her within the week of getting on the phone to her. And then I was committed to working with her at least bi-weekly, like every 2 weeks, for somewhere between 6 months and a year. I can't remember. It was a long time. And she does somatic work. And we did all kinds of different movement exercises, and just she kept me body-centered awareness. And it's like I was helped way before I stopped working with her, because I found the work so interesting that it was supporting my everyday. Like, once I'd got out of my panic place, out of the darkness, once I'd come back into the light, should we say, although I don't necessarily think, yeah, it's kind of in a gross way of saying it, but
it makes sense.
I found that work just immensely supportive, just to my day to day, for my well-being and for my own like knowledge. I was like going to these sessions also to learn, like, what other techniques are there, what can I know more about the system. And it works so well because I've been an ecstatic dance DJ, as you said. I mean, yeah, I've been around a long time. I think one of the first sort of group of DJs that came into doing ecstatic dance when ecstatic dance started in England. I mean, I've been doing it now for like I think 7 years, maybe 8 years. And so, having already done a lot of that work and working with people, having done like multiple different types of workshops, it was just a deepening of my awareness of what it means to support people with somatic, and the terminology and exercises that use can help support people's nervous systems. I know that now. At the time, I didn't really have the knowledge of I didn't know the science behind it or the biology behind it. I just knew it worked. Like, I was like, this stuff is is
Because
really
I've come into it the other way round. Like I'm already a practitioner supporting people with that. And then the dance just seemed like such a quick medicine, to then add to the repertoire of offerings. But I think it's going to make sense whichever way you start to understand that dance and movement is just the best medicine, isn't it?
It can be, yeah. For those that, I mean, there are some people that just don't. I mean, it's all embodiment, and some people find it are more naturally inclined to be in their body. Like
Yeah.
those of us that like to move, that maybe from a very young age just like to dance and play and climb trees and rustle and tussle and be a bit more like in the body than in the
Mm,
mind or intellectual. And we all have different backgrounds, and there can be many different reasons why people don't want to be in the body, like especially
mm,
from a nervous system point of view. If you hold like PTSD or an extreme trauma, like we're talking big T trauma in the body, being in the body can be instantly activating to going into a state of freeze, going into dissociation. And that's really uncomfortable because you can't. There actually, so there are terms like being in chronic freeze, like when we are in a state of freeze, but we're not consciously aware of it. And so we keep going through all the motions. We get up in the morning, brush our teeth, we have the shower, we have the coffee, you go to work. If you've got a routine, like a daily routine, it can be really easy to stay in a chronic state of freeze without being in the body because you're intellectually just going through the motions. But as soon as something then jars you into being in the body, like dance, where you're going into a state of like into joy and starting to tap into that nervous system starting to regulate, suddenly the alarm bells go off and it's like, oh my god, I
mm,
don't like this, I just want to talk,
mm,
I don't want to dance. Like
mm.
those are classic people. I mean, like we've probably all been there. I've definitely been there when you just don't want to dance, you just want to stand on the side and you just want to talk and you just want to be in the mind, like
Mm.
let's just keep like no, I'd rather not. I'd rather go to the bar or go to the toilet or go and have a cigarette. These are
And
all
I
things that.
also think it depends on where you're at that moment, because I'm
Oh,
very
definitely.
much in my body and I'll jump around and what. But other times, if I'm not 100% comfortable in the environment, then I freeze, and I feel like, oh, I can't actually move my body. Like, what's going on? I'm not really feeling into this. So, um, and that's very interesting because then you do a bit of um inquiry into yourself, don't you? Like, what's going on here? What is it about this environment? And then you get to know yourself a little bit more deeply, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why I've. I mean, I've had this conversation many times with people. People have like wanting to come to ecstatic dance, or wanting to come to a conscious dance, or just a place of dancing where it's sober, and
Mm,
people can't get it. Like they're confused. They don't know how they would be able to be on a dance floor without having a drink,
mm,
without something then shutting off some of those like discomfort barriers, like whether it's discomfort in the mind or just discomfort in the body, where we go into that state of like self of judgment and self criticism. And so there's like using that like numbing effect to then go on. I mean, it's part of the practice, part of the routine, part of the support network, and then to go and be on a dance floor and to like not have that is really scary for people.
mm,
And it takes practice, like you just named, your experience. If you're on the dance floor, if you're avoiding the dance floor, if you don't want to be there, you might go into a little bit of self-inquiry, like, oh, what's going on here? Where do I need to soften a little bit? How can I be a bit more inclusive for myself? How can I let go of that criticism that's going on? And not all people have those tools. A lot of people,
mm,
I don't know how many people, I'm saying a lot, like I know, but I don't. It's just that some people, and we all at different times can be in that boat of not being able to regulate. I mean, it's like essentially we're like, I, yeah, actually, I'm really struggling to regulate right now. Like, maybe I need to go and do something different, and that can be a really courageous thing to do. And it's just like it's a minefield, especially when you start working with the psychology of what it means to be a human in society and in community, and like, yeah, that's why I found it so fascinating. I mean, it's it really, and just to go back to what you were originally saying, yeah, dancing, somatics, it's all a state of embodiment. Like, can we be in, like, how much can we be in our bodies? And I feel like what I'm witnessing, what I know, and what I try to practice to the best of my ability. Not always possible because life gets in the way, but it's more I can be like in body-centered awareness as I move through my day, as I move through my life. Then I'm a much happier, healthier, more grounded, open, kinder, loving person. Like I'm just able to give and receive love. I mean, we're talking about energy. You mentioned energy. I think like the energy of love is easier to reciprocate and to give. Like it's easier to keep that flowing when the nervous system is in a state of regulation.
Oh,
And that's
100%.
it. Yeah, it won't like deregulate, but just to come back to that. Okay, what do I need right now? How can I give myself some space? And that space could be. I mean, I've helped myself regulate in like 15 seconds. You just like becoming body awareness of the breath. Like I like to do a little body scan. Like I'll go like quickly through my body and just see like, can I feel all the parts of my body? And if I can't, then I'll go to an area that might feel a little bit numb or where I just don't have much sensation or no sensation, and I just sit there for 3 5 seconds and just be like, until something comes online or until I accept that that's okay, that's just where it's at right now. But doing that on a like for 15 20 seconds, it's just like instantly just, oh, I'm in the body and that's okay. Like I'm okay with the discomfort that I have, and that's part of the practice. Like can I be okay with some of my discomfort? And sometimes I can and sometimes I can't.
It's interesting what you said about people not realizing, not realizing how it works being sober. And I think one of the biggest blocks for people is thinking they're going to look silly, getting over themselves in that way. What would you say to people that are kind of reluctant to go to an ecstatic dance because they just think, oh, I'll be too self-conscious?
Go to a clowning workshop.
Because that's one of the things I love about ecstatic dance is it's celebrated to let go as much as you can. That in fact, the more you let go, the more you allow your inner child just to like come out and play and just be fun. I mean, there's different. I mean, there's different ways. There's different ways of moving. It depends what mood you're in and what you're releasing. Like sometimes you just want to go really inward, don't you, and just like feel in your body. And other times you're just like really extroverted and you want to play with other people and jump around. And it's actually really celebrated. And then laughter happens, and it's just it's when it's fun that I probably get the most out of it. What does it say on your t-shirt?
It says, "Look out! There's a crab."
Look out! There's a crab. And I actually think that what I've noticed with ecstatic dance is it kind of allows this inner playful self to be free, where you no longer feel the need to use alcohol in social environments because you've practiced that muscle of just being free and playful anyway. And I almost feel like we often can use substances and things to get us in that mood, to allow us to be fun and playful. But actually, when you just allow that kind of authentic playful self come out to play, then you strengthen that muscle, and then you can always just jump in. You become you're just always in that space of playfulness, which is just
Practice make perfect, right? This is what
yeah,
you're saying. Like I
strengthen
think
it like a muscle.
exactly, and I think that it's just a case of like going, but in all seriousness, when you said like what to say to people, I would say go anyway. It doesn't matter if you are scared of looking silly. I mean, there's so much of our life can be completely kiboshed, can be governed by fears. I mean, from like crossing the road to driving the car to breathing to eating. I mean, like, how much fear mongering is there now? Like, oh, don't eat that food or don't drink that water. Like, oh my God, what do I do with my life? Like,
even just starting a new job, you wouldn't go because you're
yeah,
scared you're going to mess up. You're like, oh, I'm going to have to feel the fear and go anyway and just do it. And then the more you turn up and show up every day, the better you get at that job. And it's a bit like ecstatic. You might go the first time and you might move like a stiff ironing board. But then the more you go and the more you're watching other people, you start getting permission by watching others and how they're doing it and going, oh, actually, I could release a little bit more. And then each time you go, you're going to get more and more and more comfortable in the environment. But the first time you might find you feel a little bit awkward. But I think if you persevere with it, then
and yeah, persevere with it. In like, that can happen in one dance.
yeah.
One dance, and I still will never forget. And there's a story I hold close to my heart because it was a family member. But my godfather, one of my cousins, came to surprised me at a dance in Brighton once, and he came with his partner, and then his partner's brother, and her partner, and then a friend, and we went on this 2 hour journey together, and it was all with silent disco headphones. So and with silent disco, I don't know if you've experienced it, but it's quite like, it's easy to stay in a little group, and you're kind of like you're out in the nature, and they were basically in this little group for their whole time. And there was this point where I went into a little bit of facilitation, and I focused on him, but it was like nothing I said was specifically about him. But through my words, I was like making this encouragement to move through the space, to be more embodied, to be a bit sillier, to be more playful, to like, I can't remember the words I used, but something around those lines. And then after going through that, I invited the dancers to like move away from where they had been. They'd been stuck in one area for a while, to try and make it to like across the dance floor. And we're talking like 80 people dance floor out in nature, like quite a large space. We were taking up a good chunk of area on this hillside. And as I'm talking and I'm like finding the next track, I look up and I see Robert had made it from like my right hand side, from being on his own, all the way through the plethora of the dancers, and he was on the other side of the dance floor, and he just had his arms in the air, and he was just like, yeah, and he was like he liberated himself. I think like, yeah, actually I named that as a piece. Like, it's a story that reminds me that even in one dance we can break through our own inner critic pattern of like, I look too silly, or I'm not good enough, or like I'm never going to fit in. And just when we let all that go to just be free, it's like, it's the most liberating experience. Like, it opens us up to feeling joy, and sometimes we need support in doing that. Like, it's not always easy to just do that as a person. So I think that's one of the things the greatest things I found about ecstatic dance and the dance community is that it is a community. Like, there is a community that show up to support each other through giving and receiving love and being a better version of ourselves.
Yeah, and there's so much authentic love. It reminds me so much of the kind of 90s dance scene, but we were all on ease, opening our heart. Now it's just real. It's not pretend. It's not like you wake up in the morning and you don't know these people and like now you don't love them anymore because the ease worn off. It's not like that. It's like this continuous real love that like it's so much better than an E. And it's real and it's authentic, and it's just, you're accepted at every I mean, I haven't been to an ecstatic dance in the country yet where I didn't feel welcomed. There's different levels of welcoming. Some I don't feel as open as others, but there's definitely, and there's no judgment. That's the other thing, that you can just, because I think everyone's just that everyone knows that everyone's just having their own process, and that can look like anything. And actually, the more weird it looks, the more it kind of gives permission for the next person to just do it in their way as well. And then it just becomes like no one's worried what anybody's doing. They're all in their own process. But what you just said about your family member, one of my favorite things about ecstatic dances, particularly if I'm holding that space, is when people that I really love come and I know what they're going through in their real life, and then they come and I just look over at them and they're just in this moment of bliss. You know, when they get to that space with the ecstaticness, and then it's like after, and they're just like this, and they have this like blissful look on their face. And I just think, this is why I do it, you know, because it doesn't, you know, you can be going through utter hell in your life, and then you come to the ecstatic dance where you can just leave that behind, and then you can experience bliss, a blissful state, no matter what's going on in your life. You know, I've got friends that are coming that are going through divorces and health issues and different things, but then when I look and they're just, like, they've forgotten all of that and they're just in this place of utter bliss. Oh, that melts my heart, and then I'm just oozing love. You know, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. And you just reminded me, I mean, it ties into the things. There's a thing in the somatic world, it's called the window of tolerance. And our window of tolerance is the window at which we are able to manage between the goalposts, if you like, or the polarities of being a fight and flight or freeze and form. So we're between the two polars, and that's to say, like, our window of tolerance means that we'll be able to navigate the fact that, like, the toilet's blocked, or like the child is sick, or the dog needs to go to the vet, or the car's broken down. Like, these things are constantly like tackling us. We're having a divorce or whatever. And the more those things build up, the more we're going to get pushed outside of our out of our window of tolerance, and then we go into one of these, like, fight, flight, freeze, and then we're in the, like, nervous system activation, and we're in a state of like overactivation or deactivation. And when we dance, when we move through those pieces of like challenge, or we let go, when we start to regulate ourselves, we actually grow our window of tolerance. So then that same situation that you came into the dance with, the divorce, the death of a family member, like the sickness of something, like what we came in with, where that felt really overwhelming, suddenly we're like, okay, that's in my life right now, and I'm okay with it. Like, I can be okay with it, because we just expanded the window of tolerance and enabled ourselves to feel, to tolerate more. It doesn't make that thing go away. It just means that we're able to hold it with a sense of like stability and clarity, because when we're in an activated place, we don't think clearly, we're not grounded. So the more, like, the more we can like do the things, you know, going for a walk, doing some meditation, going for a dance, the more we can do these things to allow our nervous system to settle, and to just acknowledge those instances, these things that are in our lives, to acknowledge them without getting activated about them, then the more we can open that window of tolerance to feel more clearer in our lives and to make clear decisions.
So then it's going to have a knock-on effect on things like, you know, mood swings, and, you know, all the things, stress, you know, the things where we just are like, oh, I can't cope, I feel overwhelmed. You know, it's like, well, we won't, because our cup won't be as full. We've drained some of the cup and there's space in the cup. Yeah, I love that.
And and as you know, as we like spoke, we spoke earlier, is that this week for me has been intensely stressful. Like, I've been working 10-hour days. It's been insane. So I haven't given myself the space to like just be, and to regulate myself. And so this morning, even though I had these jobs to do, and it's like, I don't really have any pressure, but I still feel stressed. Like, I'm feeling stressed because I haven't given myself any time this week to like actually do some regulation. So that's the reminder. It's like, okay, that happens, and then I have to come back. Like, and just like, sit and do some meditation, or just do some breathing, or like move the body, be slow for 15 minutes. And that's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because I can also do the same, where I go from thing to thing to thing, and I've started to say, okay, before you go to the next thing, just have a little sit down and a cup of tea or a little juice, or just eat a bit of fruit, just like, just center for a minute before you move on to the next thing, because otherwise I become really scatty headed, because I was on that and now I'm on that and then I'm on that, and it's just like a really scattered energy. So I'm learning to do one job at a time and have little grounding breaks in between.
So
Yeah, but this is we're all a work in progress, aren't we? Like, what works for us? What's our schedule like? What's our lifestyle like? And how can we fit in that? And then if some people are just so busy, that's where you just have to just go and have a dance. There's no time for meditation or anything. Just get yourself to a dance on a Saturday night instead of.
sometimes actually I think, and I want to use this more, because last time, as well, people don't know. I was about to say, like, oh yeah, like everybody knows. No, nobody knows. I went to Brighton for a year, and so I was in Glastonbury for 10 years, Brighton for a year. Now I'm back in the Glastonbury area, and I didn't take advantage of the fact that I had dance medicine on, like, a weekly dance, that due to being a facilitator there, I can just go for free, because like, that's kind of my one of the perks.
Yeah.
And I didn't utilize that enough. And like 2 weeks ago, was it last week? I just went. I was like, do you know what? I need to set this time to do this for myself. And sometimes it's easier to go to a workshop, to go to like a session. I was thinking yoga, like going to a class, go to a yoga class, go to a dance class. It's easier to then go like this. I'm just going to go here, and this person's going to then, look after me for an hour.
Do the thing for this long, because left to my own devices, I'll do like 3 postures in yoga and that's it.
Yeah, and I'll get
I'm done
distracted.
now. I've stretched.
Like something else, like the phone will go, or like you'll remember that like you didn't take the bins out, or oh, there's an email to send. Like, go to a class where all those things become impossible to do, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, I've decided now this is what I'm doing.
I mean, I know a lot of people with families can resonate with this, but in my household, if music comes on a film or on, whatever, if it's, all of us just start dancing in my house. And I remember my parents always did that as well. Like, we always used to just dance in the house. And I do that with my kids, and we tend to do like really silly dancing, and that seems to regulate the nervous system way more than just like serious dancing. Like, we're just, hands and feet in the air and
I just can't imagine you being silly. I'm like, it's just
Can't
not.
imagine me being silly.
No, I just really.
Everyone who knows me really well is like, you haven't seen Jenna yet. Yeah.
No, of course. I was actually being sarcastic, but anyway, well,
I was going to say, can't imagine me being silly. So yeah, it's silly's like my middle name.
Yeah, I think that's why we get on so well.
Yeah. Yes, the silliness gang. So you're at Elevate, you're coming to do a DJ set on the Sunday night, I believe, with the headlining, the last act on the Sunday. It's a bank holiday Monday, so we can have a really good dancey party night. And then we are doing a retreat, aren't we, in June? And you are focusing a little bit more on somatic, because you're really kind of merging your 2 passions, aren't you, into, well, and also your percussion playing and stuff. You're kind of merging it all into, and this is something I really love and try to encourage other people to do, is just like, what makes them, and then how can they make that an offering, rather than being lots of the same things happening. So for you, it's this kind of somatic understanding with, your percussion playing and your DJing, and you're kind of like merging it all in now, and it's becoming your own unique offering, isn't it? What's that going to look like?
At this the day retreat.
Yeah.
Oh, I've lost you.
Oh, I still have you.
You've frozen on my screen. Have I
Oh
frozen
no.
on your screen?
No.
It's definitely my signal.
Oh, well,
That's all right, you're back.
okay, well, if you just continue to talk, I'm wondering if maybe Zoom has picked it up, even if you're not.
Yeah, exactly. So are you talking about the retreat?
Yes, or just moving forward with your offering now, just generally, like it's something that you want to do more of, isn't it? Is more the kind of workshop. I mean, you love doing your DJing and that's great, but also you're wanting to kind of venture out more, working somatically with people. I know you're doing one-to-one and people can contact you to have one-to-one. In fact, what does that involve? If you know, if somebody books a one-to-one with you, what does that look like?
So that looks like us having a discovery call, like having a chat with having a chat. I can tell more about some of the stuff I've already talked about in this podcast, this episode. And yeah, I'm looking to, like, my intention is to work with people for a minimum of 5 sessions. And I'm inviting people into like a container of like a 2-month container with 5 sessions. And we can do more if people are really keen. But to then take people on a journey to teach them exercises, practices, and to support them in going into a one-to-one body-centered like investigation of their nervous system, and to uncover what may or may not be known about. Like, there may be things that people want to come with. There's like a pressing story. I mean, one of the things I find so interesting is that we can come to a person can come to a session, like I've come to a session with like a massive degree of anger or like pain in my back, and I want to talk about that, but quickly I'm talking about an incident that happened when I was a child, or like a conversation that happened a couple of days ago, and suddenly it's like, oh, there's a correlation here, and we go quickly on a journey into like essentially the unknown, because we don't, like, unless someone's already gone on the journey to understand, to really go in and understand what's going on there. And even at the bottom of that well, there's always another piece to look at. So it's a question of looking at what's going on in the system. And let me just plug this guy back in. So yeah, it works really well online, and it's a question of like, yeah, am I the right fit? Are we the right fit together? And if so, then yeah, then get in touch and we can look at like moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. I was just thinking, like, do you generally have, is it a lot of men or a lot of women that come to see you? Because I'm curious. It's mostly women. Yeah, because I mostly see women as well. And I was actually excited with the fact that a guy is doing this kind of work, because maybe that would open it up to men, because I really feel that women are kind of really working on this now, really starting to understand. But there's a lot of, you're seeing it a lot in men that kind of need this support, but not necessarily feeling comfortable accessing it, because maybe it does feel a bit weird to them. I'm not sure.
I think it's a challenge that we have that society has across the entire embodiment practice, because every ecstatic dance, I say every ecstatic dance, most ecstatic dancers, let's say 90% of them, are heavily female bodied people who are there. And that's, you know, as we're like entering into just like whether, yeah, whatever gender. So I guess it's like someone who identifies more in a feminine body or feminine as a female, someone who identifies more as a female, whether they're in a like a born masculine body or not, there's a sense of being able to feel more comfortable in the body. And so I think it's generally women are, I say, like females are more inclined to go to ecstatic dance, to be in embodied space, to go to somatic therapy, maybe have therapy in general. And I'm not sure if that's a systematic problem that we have in our society where men don't feel comfortable in their bodies or don't have time for that, or they tell themselves they don't have time, they don't make time.
I have a lot of male clients come through, but for the pain relief stuff, you know, so once I get them in the door with sciatica, I can then talk to them about, you know, are you holding on to some emotion here? And then they start revealing that emotion, and then they're blown away with the therapy that they're getting, not just with the pain relief therapy, but the talking therapy. And the amount of times I've heard men say, oh, I've just got no one I can talk to about this stuff. And they're so grateful when I kind of invite them to do that. And so I've personally witnessed in the years that I've been doing my work is that men are desperate for this. But it's just very uncomfortable for them to access it. So to come in with a practitioner like me that does some like physical pain relief and muscle treating stuff, but then I can take them a little bit over the bridge, a little bit into the woo and understanding their body on a somatic level. But I just know that they're kind of thirsty for it, but they're not sure how to get there, or they just feel really uncomfortable, you know.
I wonder if there's also a cultural thing. I wonder if like in our white Western culture, whether we're more prone to finding that harder, and whether other cultures actually just find it easier, as men find it easier to the emotions. So yeah, curious, but yeah, makes sense. I totally get that. Like men
I
are
mean,
more,
there's a whole nother conversation around just that, isn't there? The
yeah,
layers related to that, you know.
because men and myself are included in this, definitely lent towards like, oh, I've got body pain. Like, oh, I need to go and get a massage. I need to go and see, or or what they call orthodontist. No,
Chiropractor, osteopath. Yeah.
osteopath. I need to go see a biologist. Surely.
I just need a scientist right now.
Yeah, give me a scientist.
Give me a
Exactly.
doctor.
I need science. I need science to sort me out. So we're much more likely to do that than we are to go, oh, let's go into the like more the esoteric or the or you know, into the spiritual realm of like, oh, what's going on underneath the surface. I think that's where somatics actually has, like, there is now science to prove like the work of nervous.
I was about to say, actually, it's only because a lot of health and well-being has kind of been lumped with spirituality, because spirituality is embodiment, and it is that. But I think a lot of people that don't understand the two worlds and the merging of the two worlds probably just think it's all woo woo. And I what is woo woo? It's just, you know. But actually, everything I do is scientifically backed. I mean, the somatic work I do with people is where I use a device that was invented by the Russian scientists for the space center, for the space program. So it couldn't be any more science-based. But the way that it works with the body is an understanding which is like ancient Chinese wisdom. So to do with meridians and, you know, clearing energy in the body and stuff, and resetting the nervous system and all of it. You know, it is science backed. and you know, frequencies and vibration, you know, that's all science. So sound baths and all of that stuff, you know, is backed up by science. But there's still probably a big cultural block for many people, I think, that they just think, oh, well, if I go to that thing, does that mean I'm in that weird woo-woo crowd now? But it's, you know, it's becoming more and more and more mainstream. And so I'm sure in the next decade, more people will feel comfortable kind of coming into these spaces, because you can already see that happening.
Well, it just made me think like Five Rhythms has been going on for 20, 20, 30 like years. Yeah. And the thing that Five Rhythms, it's like people didn't need to understand the science behind going on that kind of dance journey and feeling better. Like it was just, and it wasn't woo-woo, because there wasn't really this spiritual aspect to it. It was like there was a program. There was like, we're going to take the dancers on these five rhythms, because this is what, you know, Gabrielle Roth discovered in her journey and her movement journey, to that we would go through these 5 patterns to regulate our nervous system, to release, to build tension and release tension, and to then like grow our window of tolerance and to feel better and feel more connected with ourselves and our surroundings. And like, it's only when ecstatic dance, like, you know, I do bunny ears, because ecstatic dance could be anything from like some rave in India where, you know, people are taking mushrooms to this like deep led somatic journey, and it can be anything in between. But yeah, so the term ecstatic dance started bringing in more spirituality, altars, you know, meditation, bringing in energies. I mean, it could be anything from like Archangel Michael to, you know, to Pachamama, to Mother Earth, you know, using all these terminologies that, you know. And a simple one that actually someone brought to my awareness was like, even the simple, like we do prayer hands as a sign of like this, I'm this dancer's, if you're dancing with someone, you can use as a term to like complete the dance and to just move on. But for years I was just calling it namaste, you know, this, we do namaste, but even that is a spiritual terminology that in certain, with certain people, that segregates them, because they don't want to be doing namaste, but using this as a gesture, but simply just doing prayer hands. I mean, we're not making it a, you know, I think we're all like, throughout the entire world, we can all get on board with prayer hands, no matter what religion you come with. It doesn't have to be, you know, it's just an action at the end of the day. But then using the term namaste as making it, you know, making it Buddhist, or was it, Hindu?
Well, prayer hands is kind of making it Christian, isn't it? So it's like there's going to be a connotation for everybody with anything.
So how would you define that? What would you say?
I've actually really simplified my. Yeah, well, I've really simplified mine to be a bridge more, because of the area that I live in isn't as open to new experiences. So I've kind of created it to be more of a bridge, and so I don't have many rules. So that whole thing that whole thing about the prayer hands and I just don't say that.
Okay. I mean, there are pros and cons. We're not going to go into the difference, but
no, I know, and I'm aware of it. But then I'm constantly holding the space. So I work with Fribber, he's DJing, and then I'm moving around holding the space. So if I witnessed anything, and then I would kind of intervene, like I'd find a way. Does that make sense? But I get it. And
but if I was to ask you the question, like if we say whether you use it or not, like let's workshop this. If we've got like if prayer hands is a form of Christianity and namaste is a form of Hinduism,
can we just put our hands together and
just put your hands together?
Yeah, just put your hands together.
We're literally describing the action. Okay, this is nice. I like this. Cool, great. You know, this is what
gratitude hands. Gratitude hands, you know. Gratitude. Is that too?
Nah, it might not be a case
of gratitude. It's a spiritual buzzword, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not bypassing that.
No.
And thank you so much for this
Thank
dance.
you, thank you. Oh,
But yeah, I
well,
like it. So
yeah.
all right, I'm going to use this from now on, right? So just bring your hands together. Doesn't
Mm.
need to be doesn't be defined as anything else, because yeah, it's just like, and again, just like, and this is, I think, when you were talking about don't have any rules, like I find that
I do have rules, but I try not to make it sound too woo in any way or too sometimes I think, yeah, I don't know. I just want people to just feel comfortable and not to start with, because I do have a lot of people that have never been to these kind of things before, you know.
so it's curious because I have found in my experience that people who have not done anything like this before, they are supported by the rules.
Yeah.
To know that, like, okay, I've got a way out. This is what I'm doing. Like, there's this, like, okay, so I'm not going on my phone. I'm going to be barefoot. Like, I'm not talking to anyone else. Everyone's on board with the rules rather than going like, what am I doing here? How do I
So
interact?
the barefoot thing, I kind of welcome them as they come in the door, and I say, "Oh, if you put your shoes over there, because you know we dance barefoot," and explain that. And then when we're in the circle, I kind of like talk to them about, you know, what ecstatic dance is and how it's a break from the phone and da 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 da. You know, so I kind of talk about what it is, and in that way. Um,
Without kind of making them rules. I see.
yeah.
This is your
I wonder if
invitation.
it's just because I'm quite a rebellious person that as soon as I'm
You're like,
given a
what?
rule, like,
Give me
I
the
need to break
rules.
it. So like I'm almost feeling like, oh, can't set rules because yeah, I want to break it.
Someone says, like, don't go on your phone. You're like, I'm going on my phone. Fuck
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Like no talking. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been there in those. No, I'm not really one of those people, but I've been in there.
I know that I get it from my dad because once my dad and I went to watch my brother is a runner and we went to watch one of his runs or to welcome him in. There was this pathway and we could see them coming and we were just about to move off the path to let the runners come. But then one of the ushers, what they called, that I don't know, said to me and my dad, "Oh, could you get off the path?" And then me and my dad looked at each other and we both said, "I don't want to now," because somebody had told us to. Well, we were going to move off the path. We could see that with our own eyes. Like, don't tell me to get off the path. So I don't know what that is. I've often thought that my rebellion helps me do the work that I do and to do the things in the world that I do, and that, you know, I was made rebellious for a reason. But yeah, sometimes it's just a bit arrogant.
Also, that sense of fire also gives drive for, yeah, for change and sort of
Yeah,
like moving towards,
that
you know,
warrior energy.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it is a, yeah, it's been a massive journey that there's a few of us that have gone on as like ecstatic dance started to spread throughout
Mm,
England, and like dance to medicine came on the scene and started teaching people. Like, it's really been a methodology that has been developed as it's been created, like as it's been spreading,
mm,
and understanding inclusion, like what it means, like with all the best intentions, using terms like namaste, like creating rules, uh, have sometimes like making an altar, like what kind of warm ups we're doing. It's all just a kind of experimentation, and
mm,
certain things work really well, like able to make people feel really included, no matter what culture or like, yeah, what sex they define as. And then some things just are like, and what works for some. I was gonna say, yeah, some things are just naturally like more inclusive, and some are exclusive. But then it's also subjective, and you
mm,
can't really please everyone. You know, the
mm,
more we have hands off, generally the people feel like, cool, I'm just doing my own thing. And I know as a facilitator, a little bit of facilitation can really go a long way. And the amount of times, I mean, like, God knows how many, I couldn't count how many times people have said, oh, when you said that thing, that was just what I needed to hear in order to like go a little bit deeper. Like, that's what helped me cry. That's what helped me come out of that piece of discomfort.
And
That's what
often
helped
it's
me with my
being
agitation.
intuitive, isn't it, of the dance floor and what's needed to be said, you know, rather than having a script as well. It's like, oh, I'm feeling that like you said with your cousin or relative, and you could see that they'd clung together, and it's like, okay, so I'm gonna, you know, they need to move, and then you can just bring that in that moment. So it's kind of like feeling the dance floor and feeling the energies, isn't it?
Yeah, and to just like I say, trust yourself, or trust myself. And as a facilitator, I think we all have to trust ourselves. And I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but I've sat with therapists, or I think of one particularly. I'm not going to name any names, but there's one particular therapist where it was like they were just reading from a book to me, and there was no sense of self. And so instantly, I'm like, there's like a level of detachment there.
Yeah,
And the
100%.
more that that person is real, and it's definitely been reflected to me before about my ability to make something real, especially when a problem happens, like the sound goes, or the system breaks, or like, someone starts a laughing fit, or whatever the thing is, that suddenly you just make it real. Don't try and push it away or pretend that it's not happening. I mean, like, kids coming onto the dance floor is a massive one. Like, to have a toddler of 3 run onto the dance, like run into a closing circle or a warm-up circle when you're trying to be
Yeah.
really serious and close it, and suddenly there's like absolute chaos. Like, bringing them on board is one of the best things to do to transmute that energy into a sense of inclusion. And
Yeah.
so that's what comes with. Then there's the human aspect, and people feel safe in that. As soon as you like a robot, then people are like less connected.
I always think there's like nuggets of magic of wisdom that are learnt in those moments as well, when it's not running smoothly. Like our event last year, the landowner wasn't transparent at all and had rented out the neighbouring field to some Harley Davidson bikers. So just as there was like some healing women's circle or something going on in the healing tent, all these revving bikes suddenly just started arriving, and we were like, what the hell is going on? But I wasn't there, but then hearing the stories and the process, and then the women used it within the circle, and actually it was very valuable, you know. And we were really tested last year at Elevate because of this landowner not being transparent about, you know, we were told that we were having the whole place and we weren't, and then it was chaos. Chaos was happening, but then what that taught us, that we could still stay elevated in this when it wasn't perfect, or you know, when you're usually at festivals and it's just this kind of cocoon of who's there, this tribe, but we were still having to deal with this kind of 3D world that was happening around us, and it was like, oh, but we could still keep the vibe high. This is amazing. And so, you know, that was quite a lesson. But yeah, so when the chaos is occurring, kind of trust that, like, oh, well, this is happening, you know, everything's exactly how it's supposed to be, and just rolling with it. Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, well, I have loved talking to you, but I'm aware that when we start talking, we don't stop, do we? So I'm just going to say thank you so much for chatting with me. And thank you so much for coming to Elevate this year. And we've got some other things we're doing, and it's exciting and fun and playful. And I'm going to put links to how people can find you in the yeah, down there. Is there anything else you would like to say before
Wrap it up. Put a little bow on it. Put a little bow on it. Yeah, I love talking to you, and I literally had to look at my watch then because I was like, I think we go into we just go into a time portal of like free flow,
Chitty chatter.
spontaneous conversation.
Yeah,
I absolutely love, and I could
yeah,
be in there when I didn't have anything else to do with my life, but I do have a discovery call in half an hour with someone.
yes, we need to.
Um, so thank you so much for having me, and thanks. I'm really looking forward to being at this year's Elevate,
Mm,
being in the magical realm that you have created with all the beautiful beings and just the magic around your festival is just yeah, I'm really excited to be part of this year. It's been 3 years in the waiting.
you were booked for the first year, and then it didn't happen. So and then you were busy. I think you were super booked up. You were coming, and then there was something else, and you were like, I forgot. And then this year, I got you early.
Didn't I herniate my back?
Oh yes, you did for the first one. That's true. Last year you were double booked. You had something else on that day, which was already in. The year before you'd really hurt yourself, so had to cancel. That's right. This year, this is the one.
I'm in. I'm
You're
in.
in.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's
Whoop,
go.
whoop, whoop.
Yeah, really, really looking forward to that. And yeah, what else to say? Just it's like I really, yeah, well, like anyone who's listened to this is still here listening at the end. Yeah, please find me online and get in touch if you wish to understand, get on a call with me, understand a bit more about what it means to go on a one-to-one somatic journey. Maybe you've experienced it before, or you haven't, but know that anyone and everyone is welcome. And I have not yet got my website up and running because I'm like not so good at the tech world, but I am available on multiple different platforms. So yeah, come for a dance. Look forward to seeing you at a festival. There's an incredible retreat that I will be facilitating on. It's the Ecstatic Experiences Retreat, and that's in Embocombe. And I highly recommend. I know tickets are selling for that, and I highly recommend anyone, if you're into dance or not, like come on that journey. Like that is a place to break through your boundaries of any sort of self-criticism you might have. We've had farmers, like a Somerset farmer came to one of those retreats one weekend, and he like it blew him away so much. He then went to like everything possible. He found me at like 100 dances afterwards. He would just be like, yeah, he went to everything and anything he could to go along with dance. And he went on a massive journey with it. Like it really changes people's lives.
Mm.
So yeah, highly recommend that to someone. That's the Ecstatic Experiences Retreat. Yeah, and just go well, be well, um, to the best of your ability. And thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for this conversation.
Thank you, Pixi Pete. Mwah.